Welcome to Across the Balkans. Great to have you with us on the show. I'm Nafisa Latic. This week, we talk about the agreement that opens up a new supply route in Southeastern Europe after Russia curbed the shipments to the continent following its invasion of Ukraine. Bulgaria has signed a deal with its neighbor Turkiye to secure alternative energy supplies. The country for decades almost fully relied on Russia to cover its annual gas needs, but this is about to change. Now it will be able to use Turkiye's LNG terminals to help bring in supplies to the country. Back in April, Moscow cut off gas deliveries to Bulgaria after Sofia refused to pay for gas in Russian rubles. Under the new agreement, the LNG that Bulgaria will buy on international markets will be unloaded in Turkish terminals and transferred to Bulgaria via Turkish gas transmission company BOTAŞ. Bulgaria currently covers about a third of its annual gas needs by importing Azerbaijani gas and contracts traders to supply the rest through Greece. The move comes just weeks after Romania agreed to import Azerbaijani gas via Turkiye. And it's also a win for Turkiye, which wants to position itself as a regional energy hub.
With this agreement, we are securing the opportunity to buy gas from all global producers and offload it in Turkey, which best suits Bulgaria logistically.
13 yıl olacak.
The duration of this contract is 13 years. During that period, 1.5 billion cubic meters of natural gas per year can be transferred. As I previously mentioned, this agreement will increase the security of gas supply for Bulgaria and for Europe as well.
Başta Saros
So many things to discuss, so let's go straight to our panel. Eser Ozdil is in Ankara. He is the founder of Global Group Consulting. And Martin Vladimirov is in Sofia. He is the director of the Energy and Climate Program at the Center for the Study of Democracy. Gentlemen, welcome to Across the Balkans.
Thank you.
Thank you. Hello.
Hello. Martin, until now, Bulgaria's shortest way to access to LNG was through Greece. But the deal with Ankara opens many new doors for Sofia. Explain to us how.
I'm actually a bit skeptical about the deal between Ankara and Sofia because it is not really a natural gas supply deal. It's an agreement for Bulgargas, which is the state-owned gas supplier in Bulgaria, to use 1.5 billion cubic meters of capacity of the Turkish transmission system for 13 years. This doesn't mean that Bulgargas will be allowed to negotiate directly the supply of natural gas from LNG or from other sources that are supplied to Turkey, but will be probably buying natural gas from BOTAŞ again, which is short of what the two countries have been negotiating for so many years, which is to sign an interconnection agreement that would allow many different companies to basically take part in the gas trading between the two countries.
Eser, Martin says he's skeptical. What do you make of the deal?
From my perspective, the critical aspect here, giving more capacity options to Bulgaria, especially after cutting gas supplies of Gazprom. Bulgaria was quite a difficult position for the winter, and Bulgaria had two options: the first, Azerbaijan contract; the second, access to Greek LNG terminals. Now, with this agreement, the third option is available. As Martin may remember that in 2022, BOTAŞ also has supplied some volumes to Bulgaria during the spring. With this agreement, we don't know details. Is it a sales or purchase agreement or not? But as Martin said, that most probably this agreement will only allow Bulgargas to access Turkish terminals and infrastructure. But in case of some supply problems, I expect more volumes flow from Turkey to Bulgaria route in the future.
Martin, how can Bulgaria ensure that the gas that enters the country is not Russian?
This will be very difficult because, of course, the natural gas molecule doesn't have a flag. We don't know where the natural gas comes from, and Botash is buying natural gas from so many different sources at the same time. But because there is no interconnection agreement, and because the only way we can import natural gas into Bulgaria from Turkey is via the Trans-Balkan pipeline in reverse mode, this is used mainly by Gazprom. Gazprom has booked the capacity on the Trans-Balkan pipeline until 2030. Basically, it's only Gazprom that can legally use this capacity for selling to Bulgaria. Otherwise, we'll be breaking basically EU law, and this deal might actually not come into fruition without the European Commission green light.
Eser, what do you think? Will this deal be sustainable?
I think it's sustainable because the possibility to utilize Turkish terminals will be from Turkey to Bulgarian side. As Martin said, that Gazprom has capacity booking, firm capacity booking for long term, but this is from Bulgarian to Turkey route, not from Turkey to Bulgaria route. That's why the current agreement may allow flow of gas from Turkey to Bulgaria. That's why I see a sustainable option.
Martin, will this deal at least in some way increase security of gas supplies in Bulgaria and the region itself?
Yes, I actually agree with Tessa on that point. Yes, let's go to the basics. The fact that there is an option to deliver natural gas from Turkey is a good news, because you mentioned correctly that we are excessively dependent on buying natural gas from Greece, not only from the LNG terminals, but also from intermediaries in Greece that have basically reselling Russian gas to Bulgaria. So we are still dependent on Russian gas resales from Greece. By having access to the Turkish market, this would make our position much more sustainable, and we'll have a more diversified gas supply. But this is not a perfect deal. It undermines the liberalization of the natural gas market in the Southeastern European region. So we need to work more broadly to create a real energy hub in Turkey, which allows everyone to participate, not only two companies close to the government.
Eser, could Turkish spare capacity help Europe diversify its supply mix? Turkish officials already said they will make sure that the Balkans' gas needs are met this winter.
Yes, in terms of technical capacity, we have huge excess capacity in terms of gas infrastructure. Right now, the regas capacity of Turkish LNG terminals is more than 140 MCM per day. If you count the Turkish underground storages and pipeline capacities, the current system is easily exists 400 MCM per day capacity, which makes Turkish gas infrastructure far more advanced than any other Southeastern European country. So that's why with this capacity, Turkey can largely contribute gas supply security of not only Bulgaria to other Balkan countries as well. And the Trans-Balkan pipeline reverse flow capacity is around 13-14 MCM per day, which is quite large amount in consideration Balkan criteria as well as Southeastern European consumption profiles. So that's why Turkish infrastructure can largely contribute supply security of Southeastern European countries. And that's why I believe Minister Dönmez visited Macedonia just after Bulgaria. However, just one intervention about Martin's ideas earlier. He perfectly said that the interconnection agreement had been discussed between the Botash and Bulgaria Transgas previously. In ideal scenario, of course, this interconnection agreement should be signed between transmission system operators, which will allow more liberalization and more players to export gas cross borders. So this could be an ideal scenario for the future, but as the short-term solution, I believe Bulgarias and BOTAŞ choose this bilateral agreement perspective.
Martin, how much of Bulgaria's domestic capacity demands can this deal actually meet?
Well, it roughly meets half of Bulgaria's natural gas consumption. Half of the demand is met already by the interconnector Greece-Bulgaria, which has booked capacity for 1.5 billion cubic meters. Total natural gas demand in the country on average is around 3 BCM. So basically the rest can be supplied from Turkey. I actually believe, though, that we don't need the whole 1.5 BCM from Turkey, because we're already buying also natural gas from the LNG terminal in Greece. And also our natural gas consumption has dropped by around 20% this year. And this is a long-term trend. As natural gas prices are increasing, I think there is not much future for natural gas consumption in Bulgaria, unlike Turkey. But I want to come back to what Esther mentioned. Indeed, Turkey could potentially become the biggest hub for natural gas in not only Southeastern Europe, but one of the biggest in Europe in general. But in order to do that, there needs to be first full liberalization of the market, and second, and even more importantly, I think in the case of Turkey, is a deal with Gazprom, because if Turkey wants to become a natural gas hub, it would need to find a way to replace Gazprom as a key supplier to the region. And I don't know if Gazprom is ready to yield this position. And I don't know what the relationship between Gazprom and BOTAŞ is in this moment.
Martin mentioned, Turkey's aspirations to become a regional energy hub. Meanwhile, Turkey's Thrace region that borders Bulgaria is where Ankara plans to create a global hub for gas. Tell us more about the new storage facility that Ankara is investing in, and what are the possible obstacles there?
The underground storages are the key flexibility providers in natural gas market. And this flexibility is also key to increase the liquidity of the hub and the transactions of the natural gas contracts. So that's why Silivri underground storage was commissioned almost 15 years ago. But the capacity increased, the storage capacity increased, and also gas send-out capacity substantially increased. So this is going to be very key to cover peak demands in the winter time. And of course, Silivri underground storage is open to private companies as well, not only for BOTAŞ. And if we liberalize the market, if we increase the liquidity of gas transactions, especially over the energy exchange EPİAŞ established in Istanbul. That's why, and with this perspective, underground storage will ensure huge flexibility to companies trading gas.
Martin, I want to ask you at the end, as Bulgaria is going again through another political crisis, how will this deal with Turkey impact the strong pro-Russian narratives in Bulgaria?
It actually helps the pro-Russian oligarchic networks in Bulgaria because many of them are linked to Bulgargas and to the strategy of the natural gas company to facilitate mostly Russian gas supply over the years. So I think the decision of the interim government right now is moved by an attempt to find, a backdoor for Russian gas supply into Bulgaria. So in that sense, Russian economic influence is not going away, in my opinion, although it's not as strong as it used to be before Gazprom cut the supply to the country. We are currently in a situation where the president is basically the key decision maker in the country, and he has ushered a very pro-Russian foreign policy, which means that we will continue to find ways to lock ourselves in strategic relationships with Russian companies. You remember that Bulgaria granted a derogation to Lukoil to keep on importing Russian oil in the country. Bulgaria is now the third largest importer of Russian oil in the world, and is a key Trojan horse also, I think, for Russian oil supply to the rest of Europe. And also Turkey, by the way.
And just recently, Turkey announced a big boost in Black Sea gas reserves. We will follow also how will this impact the rest of the region and Bulgaria as well. Unfortunately, I don't have any more time. Gentlemen, thank you both for being our guests on Across the Balkans on this episode.